following is a production of Cary TV, the Town of Cary's government access channel.
Call to order the June 23rd meeting of the Cary Town Council. And at this time, I'll recognize our Mayor Pro Tem for this ceremonial opening.
Thank you, Mayor. If you all would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is to adopt an agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Oh, second.
Motion and a second.
We're
Discussion.
rusty.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We have no recognitions, reports, and presentations, but I would like to tell our town manager that we're so grateful for our Public Works Department and all they did with this last storm that was here Friday. Phenomenal job. I don't know if Matt's here.
He is.
Oh, thank you, Matt, and please extend that thanks to everybody in the Public Works Department. Great job. So we'll move right into Public Speaks Out. We've included instructions for speaking at this forum online and on the printed agenda. There were 3 opportunities to participate in Public Speaks Out through written comments, calling in, or attending here in person tonight. If you are here in person tonight and would like to speak, I would ask that you take a seat in the rows to my right that are shown as reserved. Public Speaks Out speakers have 3 minutes each for their comments, and they may speak on any topic as long as it's not a public hearing, and that works to your benefit because you get more time. Speaking of time, Public Speaks Out speakers have 3 minutes for their comments. And after 3 minutes, you will be asked to conclude your comments. There's a timer on the podium. It'll start off with a green light. And when it turns yellow, that means you have 30 seconds remaining. And when it flashes red, that's the point I'm going to interrupt you. Not trying to be rude, but trying to be fair to all of our speakers. I want to thank everyone in the audience for understanding and respecting that this is a business meeting. Please do not applaud, make remarks from your seats, or anything else that may distract from the meeting. So now is the time for Public Speaks Out, and I'll call on our clerk to read any written comments and recognize any call-in speakers, followed by any registered speakers.
We received 2 written comments. The first written comment is from D. Michelle Rennick, requesting consideration of a brick-and-mortar restaurant at the Bidding Electric location. And the second and final written comment is from the Concert Singers of Cary, thanking council for continued support of the performing arts in Cary. We have no call-in speakers nor registered speakers.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll invite anyone who's in attendance that would like to speak at Public Speaks Out to come forward at this time. Anyone for Public Speaks Out? Seeing no one, will close Public Speaks Out and we'll move to the consent agenda. This is item 4 on your agenda. For the benefit of people watching our meeting on TV, I'd like to take a moment to review the consent agenda items. Please know that one vote approves all of these items. On the consent agenda, we have minutes from March 24th, 2022 meeting, minutes from the May 26th, 2022 meeting, resolution for tax collection for the 2023 fiscal year, revisions to the standards, specifications, and details and amendment of town code, sole source approval for transit bus shelter and glass, bid award for the White Oak Church Road Water Main Project, 21A18 Goodwin and Destin LLC annexation, recommending Economic Development Committee membership amendment, recommending appointment of Planning and Zoning Board member, Would council members like any of these items pulled for discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to public hearings. Same rules apply for public hearings that apply for public speaks out, with one exception. Speakers now have 5 minutes each for their comments. Our first public hearing is 22A03, which is at 1309 Bachelor Road and 1009 Knotty Oaks Drive, and it's an annexation. Senior Housing Planner Heather Whelan will introduce the hearing. Council will not take action on this item tonight, and it will be returned to us at a future meeting. Ms. Whelan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for annexation of 19.35 acres at 1309 Bachelor Road and 1009 Knotty Oaks Drive. The property is a half a mile north of Green Level West Road, with about an acre sitting in Wake County and the majority of the site in Chatham County. The property is contiguous to Cary's corporate limits, and there is an associated rezoning case which proposes the R12 CU, Residential 12 Conditional Use District. The applicant proposes detached dwellings at a maximum density of 1.6 units per acre. The public hearing for the rezoning has not yet been scheduled. The site is subject to the Chatham-Cary Joint Land Use Plan, and in accordance with that interlocal agreement, Cary has provided Chatham County with a copy of this annexation petition and notification of the public hearing date. Approval of the annexation is required before staff may approve any building permit for this site. Following the public hearing tonight, action will be deferred to a future council meeting to allow final vote on the annexation to coincide with final action on the associated rezoning. This concludes staff's presentation, and following the public hearing, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Ms. Wheelahan, is that correct?
Yes, very good.
Sorry, I messed that up.
No, that's fine.
At this time, I'll open up the public hearing and call on our clerk to read any written comments on any call-in or registered speakers.
No written comments, call-in speakers, nor registered speakers.
Very good. I would invite anyone forward for this public hearing that would like to speak at this time. Anyone for this public hearing? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing, open it up to council members for questions, comments? Okay. As was mentioned earlier, this will return to us at a future date. We now move to our second public hearing, which is 22A08 Griffin Weston 2 annexation. Senior Planner Aaron Puckett will introduce the hearing. Council may take action on this item. Ms. Puckett.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. This request is for annexation of a 2.24-acre property located at 1700 Evans Road at the north quadrant of the intersection of Evans Road and Northwest Cary Parkway. The property is within Cary's ETJ and contiguous to Cary's corporate limits. The site is zoned PDD Major and is in the Silverton PDD. The PDD was amended via rezoning case 19 REZ 16, which was approved in September 2020. And there is an active development plan on the site for a multifamily development consistent with that approved PDD amendment. In order to approve the development plan on the site and connect to Cary utilities, it's necessary to bring the property into the corporate limits, and council may make a decision this evening. This concludes staff's presentation, and following the public hearing, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. At this time, I'll recognize the clerk once again for any written comments, call-in speakers, or registered speakers.
No written comments, call-in speakers, nor registered speakers.
Very good. So now's the time for the public hearing for 22A08 for those in person that would like to speak. And this is your opportunity to speak at this public hearing. Any speakers? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and open it up to council members for questions or comments.
I think this is one of those sites that we all thought was already annexed.
Yeah.
Like you look at it and you're like, what, really?
So the rezoning has been approved.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just needs to be annexed before they can implement. Yep.
Solar panels. Yeah.
Make
Okay.
a motion to approve annexation 22A08.
Here's a
Second.
motion. And a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
We now move to our next two public hearings, which are going to be held together. 22 REZ07 Green Level Industrial Rezoning and 22A05 Green McManus Annexation. And once again, Ms. Puckett will introduce the item. Council will not take action on these items tonight, and it will be referred to our Planning and Zoning Board for their review and recommendation, and will return to us at a future meeting. Ms. Puckett.
Thank you again. This public hearing is for both the petition to annex 30.88 acres of undeveloped Wake County property into Cary, as well as a request to apply initial Cary zoning to the site. The site fronts Green Level Church Road and is located in the far northwest corner of Wake County, just south of the Durham County line. The Chatham County line is approximately 1,000 feet to the west, and NC 55 highway is approximately 850 feet to the east. The site is not contiguous to Cary's primary corporate limits, but it does meet the statutory requirements for a non-contiguous or satellite annexation. Adjacent land uses include vacant property owned by Triangle Brick Company, detached residential uses, and a quarrying operation across the county line in Durham. Staff is currently reviewing a development plan for the Park Overlook Business and Industrial Park, which is planned for this property, across Green Level Church Road from the site. The existing zoning is Wake County Residential 30, and the applicant is proposing a Cary zoning of industrial conditional use. The applicant has proposed the following conditions. The cumulative maximum building square footage of uses permitted on the site shall be 237,600 square feet, and the following uses shall be prohibited: athletic field, brewery, car wash, college, vehicle filling station, and medical office. The applicant's traffic study was prepared based on office and/or industrial flex space uses. Therefore, the applicant is prohibiting this list of higher trip generating uses. The applicant's stated intention is to develop one-story attached office/industrial flex spaces, but it's important to note that the zoning as requested would also permit a wide variety of other uses as long as they did not exceed the building square footage limitation. For example, uses permitted by right include towing and vehicle storage, crematorium, distillery, telecommunication structures, mini storage, outdoor storage, and some others. Uses permitted with a special use permit could include motor vehicle raceway, outdoor amphitheater, heavy manufacturing, airport, resource extraction, and recycling or salvage operation. And attached to your staff report was a complete list of uses that would be permitted by right or with a special use permit. Cary's GIS maps indicate a potential stream buffer on the site, and field determination of such features would be required at time of development plan review. There are overhead utility lines across the street from the site, but none running along this site's frontage on Green Level Church Road. And per the LDO, all utility lines are required to be installed underground, except in situations where such placement is prohibited. Green Level Church Road is a designated thoroughfare with 2 lanes and no curb and gutter. The future cross-section is planned to be a median divided 4-lane road with bicycle lanes and street side trails on both sides. This dashed blue line on the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources map indicates the future street side trail along the frontage of the site. Construction of this section of the street side trail would occur with the development of the site. There are no other greenways within or adjacent to the parcel. Cary's Future Growth Framework map places the subject site within the business and industrial park category, which is defined by the plan as a traditional suburban office and industrial park with uses such as professional offices, research and development facilities, light industrial and manufacturing, and warehousing and distribution. The character is envisioned to be a business campus setting with ample landscaping and attention paid to building and site design. The area directly to the north of the site in Durham is shown on Durham's future land use map as industrial also. In our preliminary analysis of the request against policies of the Imagine Cary Community Plan, staff found policies in the Work, Shape, and Serve chapters apply. Work policies encourage providing locations for a variety of businesses to support new and expanding firms. Shape policies recommend providing well-buffered locations along major road corridors for commercial uses that aren't a good fit for destination or other mixed-use centers. and SERV policies encourage protecting the environment and preservation of tree canopy. The applicant has indicated an intention to build office or industrial flex units on this site that fronts Green Level Church Road, so both the use and location are as envisioned by the plan. Though as mentioned earlier, the zoning could permit a range of other industrial uses. With appropriate buffering, an office and industrial development could support work and shape policies. And in support of SERV policies, development on this site will have to meet LDO requirements for vegetated buffers, stormwater mitigation, and preservation of champion trees. The applicant has not proposed any additional sustainability measures. A virtual neighborhood meeting for the proposed rezoning was facilitated by planning staff on April 6th. 6 property owners participated, asking questions about the proposed use, parking lot lighting, maximum building height, and access into the site. Some property owners along Wake Road expressed concern that in the future there may be a southern access into the site from Wake Road that might impact their residential community. Staff also met with an adjacent property owner to discuss the details of the rezoning and provided additional information to another property owner who had questions about the Imagine Cary community plan. We also received 1 phone call from an additional adjacent property owner who noted concerns about lighting, stormwater runoff, and height of future buildings, and a desire for adequate buffers to mitigate these impacts. She also expressed a desire for high-quality uses that would not generate undesirable outdoor junk storage. Staff mailed public hearing notification to property owners within 800 feet of the subject site, and this exceeds both the state's and Cary's LDO requirements. This concludes staff's presentation. The applicant's representative is here to provide their comments, and after the public hearing for the annexation and rezoning, we will be available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Puckett. At this time, I would like to invite the applicant forward.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Council. My name is Laura Holloman with the McAdams Company, and I'm the project planner for the proposed Green Level Industrial Rezoning and Annexation. For the record, my address is 1 Glenwood Avenue, Suite 201, Raleigh 27603. Staff has done another wonderful job with their analysis and presentation tonight, so I'll refrain from a full repeat of the same information, but rather zero in on a few key points. This is a property you all are familiar with. There has been a lot of discussion over the years as to if business and industrial park was appropriate in this area. The property owners have been patient and waited for this employment corridor to smartly take shape. And with the park overlook across the street and other nearby development, that day has certainly come. This rezoning checks all the boxes and will certainly allow vital comprehensive plan policies to be carried out. Maintaining a strong and diverse local economy, providing a variety of employment options, supporting economic development efforts if this were to go forward. This rezoning turns all those into a reality. This is something that is certainly in keeping with exactly what the Cary Imagine Community Plan sets forth, and really something that we can transform into one of the forgotten corners of Cary. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. So now's the time for the public hearing for the rezoning 22REZ07 and the annexation 22A05. And I'll call on the clerk once again to read any written comments and call-in speakers and any registered speakers.
No written comments, call-in speakers, nor registered speakers.
Very good. So now's the time for this public hearing, and I would invite the first speaker forward if there's anyone to speak at this public hearing. Anyone at all? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Open it up to council for questions, comments.
Right now.
I was just kind of hoping we'd see a request for a special use permit for the motor vehicle raceway, but that's just me.
I could feel the excitement there. Yeah.
I saw that. Whoops.
Yeah. I'm a little
Very
surprised by the prohibited uses. I mean, I understand it's because they drive too much traffic, so they're eliminating those.
That's correct.
Okay. What about the concern about outdoor storage that one of the citizens expressed?
They have not prohibited that use. It is one of the uses that could potentially be allowed in industrial zoning.
Is it possible to require buffering or to ask them if they would entertain putting a condition in that would buffer any outdoor storage?
The applicant might be able to speak to that. There are LDO requirements for perimeter buffers would apply, and those could vary greatly depending on the uses that do get developed with this site. Some of those heavier industrial or storage uses could require a larger buffer than if they just did office or more light industrial uses. But the applicant might be able to speak to whether they intend any outdoor storage or, whether they would like to provide additional conditions on that. Today, we do not have any additional conditions on the outdoor storage.
Yeah. I mean, I think, the only thing that we have here is, we don't do a lot of industrial stuff, at least not near the airport. Near the airport, you kind of get a little bit more of it, but in the basic Cary, you don't have a lot of it. We just want to make sure that whatever gets built is attractive, that it doesn't become a nuisance for its neighbors, and, that it inspires positive economic development rather than just kind of becoming that eyesore that people kind of try to ignore. And it's the lost corners now, but with development, it won't be lost anymore.
Any other comments?
I'm glad to see the applicant is not asking for any modifications to streetscapes or buffers or champion trees. I think that's wonderful. But perhaps if they would look a little more at the environmental policies in the SERV chapter, there may be some additional conditions that would be nice, LED lighting, things of that sort. So I offer that as a suggestion.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because there are the residential on the far west side of that property. Did they have any concerns about lighting or noise or that weren't already mentioned, or?
Only the concerns that were already mentioned, including the call we received from a resident who lives directly adjacent, who had some concerns with lighting, building heights, other impacts of the appearance of the site.
I noticed that it's a one-story, though, but as identified in the staff report, is that a condition? Or-
It is not a zoning condition. That's the intention that the applicant put forward on their zoning application, but there is not an additional height limit beyond what the LDO would allow. So depending on the distance from residential, it could be between 35 and 50 feet in height.
For how close and with what buffer on that west side?
Within 100 feet of residential, it would have to hit the 35.
Five.
Beyond that, it could be 50. And then, of course, there's that sort of additional 1-to-1 step back. If they have additional setbacks, they can go up a little bit higher. The buffering for residential, depending, again, the zoning allows a wide variety of industrial and even some commercial uses. So the ultimate perimeter buffers will depend on the uses that are built on the site. For buffering to a residential use, they're looking at probably anywhere between a 40 and 80-foot wide type A buffer, but it would ultimately depend on the use that was adjacent. Again, right now, it's a very wide variety of uses based on the few that have been precluded with a zoning condition.
The only feedback I'd give to the applicant is that if your intention is for it to be a one-story, it would be nice if that was identified as a condition, and the same thing to go along with the buffering is if your intention in your applicant statement has that as a citizen, and I read it, I think, oh, that's what they're going to do, and then, down the line, it doesn't actually come to fruition. So that would be nice.
And to frame that a different way, a lot of times we view things worst-case scenario. So I might have to view this as a 4-story building, and that's not the intention, so.
Right.
Other questions or comments?
Can you provide more information about the greenway? So how is it going to be connected with our greenway system? How many miles that will be provided with this development?
Yes, so for this development, they're required to build the street side trail along their frontage, so that's that 10-foot wide multi-use trail. I believe it's about 900 feet of frontage, so they would be providing just that segment.
Just
of our
that
network.
segment. So the rest that the town will pick up?
Well, with the
One.
street side trail, as additional properties on the site develop, for example, Park Overlook, which is developing across the street, will be putting in their segment of the street side trail. As properties continue to develop along Green Level Church Road, they'd build their segment. There are no portions of the Greenway corridor adjacent to or on this site, so there would not be any connections to greenways. It would just be the street side trail.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Very good. The annexation will come back to us at a future meeting. The rezoning is going to the Planning and Zoning Board for their review and recommendation, and will return to council for final action. Thank you. That concludes the public hearings, so we'll move into our first discussion item, which is a resolution regarding Wake County's non-discrimination ordinance and adoption of a non-discrimination policy, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Manager Rashonda Harris will present this item, and council may take action. Ms. Harris.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As someone who is passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging, I'm glad to be here with you all tonight to bring forward this agenda item to consider a non-discrimination resolution and policy. For purposes of this presentation, I will refer to the non-discrimination ordinance as NDO. Cary is a place with people from many identities, backgrounds, and lived experiences, all of which enrich the community, making Cary a great place to live, work, play, and raise a family. Cary is intentional in our commitment to fostering a diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplace and community where all are welcome. In 2021, Wake County adopted an NDO prohibiting discrimination in public accommodations and employment against a broader base of protected classes than those traditionally covered by federal and state law. Cary has the opportunity to adopt the NDO and enter into an agreement with Wake County to enforce the NDO in the portions of Cary's corporate limits within Wake County, and to adopt a non-discrimination policy to fulfill federal requirements for COVID relief funding. The ordinance became effective February 1st, 2022, and only applies to the unincorporated areas of the county outside of city or town limits. Unless a Wake County municipality adopts a resolution permitting the county ordinance to be applicable within the municipality. Wake County has invited all municipalities within its jurisdiction to adopt the resolution and participate in the voluntary conciliation process. The governing boards of Apex, Knightdale, Morrisville, and Raleigh have adopted resolutions permitting enforcement of the Wake County NDO in their jurisdictions. Wake County has established an online portal for filing complaints. Wake County will review all complaints filed in the portal and then forward complaints covered by the NDO to Campbell Law School, which will administer a voluntary conciliation process similar to a mediation. Wake County and Raleigh are covering the full cost of the Campbell Law School Conciliation Program for FY22 and FY23. So what does this mean for Cary? Cary has the opportunity to apply the Wake County NDO to the portions of Cary that are located within Wake County. Town Council action is required to adopt the resolution permitting the NDO to be applicable in Cary, and to authorize staff to enter an interlocal agreement with Wake County regarding enforcement of the NDO. The NDO will apply to Cary as an employer, a place of accommodation, and in contracting. We will continue our current practice of including non-discrimination requirements in our request for proposals, bid documents, and contracts. Adopting the NDO would mean coverage and enforcement would apply only in Wake County and would not cover Cary jurisdictional areas within Durham and Chatham counties. Staff recommends that we evaluate how the conciliation process works in Wake County and then explore options for coverage in Durham and Chatham counties to be adopted at a later time. Additionally, staff recommends that council adopt a non-discrimination policy for town operations that would apply to all Cary citizens and those who interact with Cary government. The policy establishes Cary's intent that no member of a protected class should be subject to discrimination under any program or activity administered by Cary. This includes programs or activities that are funded in whole or part with federal or state funds, such as COVID relief funds. You may see additional policies related to COVID funds at a later date. The proposed policy statement 184, which is included with the resolution attached to the staff report, documents Cary's commitment to fair treatment of all individuals and its compliance with federal and state laws and regulations prohibiting discrimination, and also codifies Cary's current practice of requiring all contracts to include a non-discrimination provision. Lastly, before I close out, by adopting this resolution and policy, Cary continues to further its commitment in fostering a diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplace and community. With intentional efforts, we work to ensure that all are valued, supported, and empowered to be their authentic selves. Our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion is a direct reflection of Cary's organizational values of people first, evolution, anyone can lead, and working smart, providing us with the opportunity to build community by recognizing, valuing, and embracing diversity, while learning and adapting to create a better present and future for employees, residents, and visitors within the Cary community. Reflecting upon our Cary values, adopting this resolution preserves the health, safety, and welfare of those who live, work, visit, play, or do business in the town. Staff recommends that council approve the resolution permitting Wake County's non-discrimination ordinance to apply within Cary's corporate limits, approve interlocal agreement regarding enforcement of the NDO and the authorization to execute the agreement, and adopt a non-discrimination policy. Thank you for your time. I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. Questions, comments?
I have one comment. I'd just like to thank both Rennie Poole and Rashonda Harris for all of your work in the DEI area. I think one of the things this showcases, that you say all the time, Mayor, is that Cary is not a place where we do things because we said we're going, or because it looks good on paper.
Right.
We do things that show that this is an action-oriented council, and this showcases our commitment to doing things that really matter, and showcases our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So thank you for bringing it forward.
And I love the fact that it applies to us as an employer as well.
Unlike Raleigh and Apex.
Wasn't going to say that, but I'm glad we stepped up and did the right thing, so.
Yeah.
I will also want to do share appreciation for Rashonda and Renee, and also Cary Harville, who's done a lot of work in this area as well.
I would just want to, at least so you're clear on my position on it, I don't want us to ever do anything partially because it will complies with federal requirements to receive federal COVID monies or any federal monies. I want us to do things because they're either the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. Federal government be damned. So I just wanted to get that out there. I know a lot of places these days are doing things to get all that free money from Washington. And I just want folks to know that in Cary, we're going to do things because we believe they're the right thing to do. And I think that's important. And that's it.
Awesome. Any other-
I'm very happy that Cary is signing on the NDO, and that will bring in, I think Cary makes up 16% of the Wake County population. Already, I mean, we know that Raleigh has about 40% of the population in Raleigh, and so that already there have been 70% of Wake County citizens covered and have the protection. Now we bring in additional 16% of Wake County citizens just because Cary is signing on it. So I'm really proud of the work that our staff are doing, and I'm very proud of the council, and we're so supportive of this effort. Thank you.
We still got to make a motion and approve it.
Yeah. I can't, I mean, Lisa has done a tremendous amount of work on this.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Because all the managers, talked, and then it was like, okay, we need the lawyers to actually make it real. And they've done that. And Wake County's leadership on this this is a very innovative way of doing it, and it really shows how well the communities in Wake County work well together. And they're just an exceptional county, and Lisa has done great work on this. So,
And for all practical purposes, it's kind of the way we are, what we do, and we're just codifying it.
That's right, Jack.
Yeah, I think it was quite innovative that they're using Campbell Law School, or law, to help mediate, so it also involves the community in this. It's not just, the county dictating it, but actually using an outside mediator that's within Wake County. It's pretty innovative. I like that idea.
Any other thoughts, or are we ready for a motion?
Do we need to do each one of these, or can we use staff's?
You can just move to approve staff's recommendation.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we move to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Harris. We now move to our second discussion item. Fiscal year 2023 recommended budget. Mr. Stiegel, our town manager, will present the item, and we must take action on this
Yes,
soon.
yes. So my comments will be very brief. Once again, the staff has really just pulled off another great budget process, and with some shifting roles, with Karen and Stacy and Kim, and then we have a new budget team led by Mike Franks, and so there were some personnel changes, but yet the organization produced a really great document, a really great process. One thing I also want to add is, even though there wasn't a lot of public comment, actually, there was none during this process, we do get it year-round, right? And so people ask questions via 311. You guys get emails. And fortunately, because we have such a good, flexible system, that we can accommodate those requests. And so we never have to say to anybody, well, you'll have to wait for the budget process. Because from a policy perspective, there really isn't budget process. There absolutely still is a more intense period of work for the staff, but for the rest of us, we can engage in budgeting year-round, and it produces a much better result. So thank you, and for your leadership, council. None of it's possible without you guys.
And it's, again, another phenomenal job. The swan song for Karen Mills. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all you've done over the years, and especially this budget. And Stacy, I know you're head all involved in this one as well. And every department is involved in this. And it starts July 2nd, they start again. And it's a year-round thing, and to make sure that we get to this point where we're having little discussion on items says a lot about the staff. They understand the council, they understand our priorities and our needs, and hopefully we understand the needs of our citizens. And rather than having work session after work session after work session, which many of my colleagues do in other municipalities, we basically listen to reports and agree or give feedback, and we're good to go. And that's a big change from when I was first elected. I'm sure Jack and Jennifer can agree.
Yeah.
It's much different. So that says a lot about you guys and what you do for the budget. And we're so glad to be a part of that rather than a part of something else. So thank you to all of you for making this budget. Other questions or comments?
I would just echo your comments, Mayor. Not only is it a very, I don't want to use the word painless, but easier process than what we used to deal with over 10-plus years ago. But they do. The staff does a really good job working with this council, and it's not just following through on council priorities. It's our community's priorities. It's our staff's priorities. I mean, I think we all work really well together as a team, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're so successful. But then they also take that feedback and our priorities and manage to do it in the most fiscally responsible way possible each and every single year. I think the last couple years in a row, darn near every other Wake County city, town is raising their taxes. Mm-hmm. And Cary, once again, is either holding the line or, like last year, reduced the rate. So it's just a privilege to be a part of such an amazing group of people and an amazing team. And I would thank all of you from the bottom of my heart as well. And just job well done, everyone.
I think one of the things we're fortunate over the years is we've learned as we deal with issues that confront us that we've developed the methodology to do things in a very objective manner, be it street repairs, sidewalk priorities, greenway priorities. A lot of that we have, using the word from earlier, codified. We have put in place a lot of the guidelines, which then I think helps keep the process fair, equitable, and that we're using and investing the money in the most equitable way. So we don't get into anybody with seniority or anybody with a certain pull being able to influence where road repairs happen and everything else. So, one of the things that this is a culmination of every year is the fact that we've put a lot of those practices in place, which just makes it easier. It's still hard. I mean, we still have to go through our priorities and we have to go through discussions, but it is so much easier to have those discussions when they're based on a foundation of fairness. And I think that's one of the things that puts a lot of people, a lot of citizens' minds at ease, that when we look at, where that next sidewalk goes, or where did we factor in the safety? Did we factor in what missing links were there? All of the above. I don't want to get into that minutia, but I think what we're seeing in today's world is just a lot of the fruits of those earlier efforts have helped us in keeping our staff focused on the right priorities, which makes it just easier when they come to us and we have those quarterly meetings and those group meetings about the budget. So again, I echo what everybody else has said. Job well done, and thank you for all that you've done.
Anyone else?
As the mayor said, does demonstrate how well the staff understands the priorities of this council. But the seamless budget process that we've experienced this year, I think demonstrates how well the council knows what it takes from the staff to continue doing the extraordinary work that they're doing. And probably more than that, even most of all, the staff and the council both understand the needs and wants of our citizens. I think this budget really demonstrates that. So thank you, everyone, especially Karen, Stacy, and the team. Well done.
Anyone else?
I would repeat everything that everybody's saying, but I don't want to take the time. I will say, we didn't mention Kim's name. It's Kim, Stacy, Karen, and all of your staff. You guys are exceptional, and so thank you very much. One thing that wasn't mentioned is how consumable they make the budget. For those who've been around or been in other municipalities and looked at the budgets, it's not this consumable, and you guys really go the extra mile to make it, easy for us to absorb. So thank you so much for that, and we appreciate your hard work.
Anything else? Or are we ready for a motion?
Oh, it's on this little piece of paper.
I move that we adopt the budget ordinances attached to the motion, which incorporate all related schedules and documents presented as part of the budget on May 12th, 2022.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and we have a budget. Yay.
Go relax for at least 48 hours.
We have no other business this evening, so I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.